We'll now go to item number 5, recommend approval of the 2011-2012 District Scholastic Chess Program Handbook. Ms. Peña, you had a concern regarding the policies.
Yes, on page 14 of our backup, on the highlighted changes, I noticed that they're going to bring down the, instead of $1,000 stipend for our coaches, it's going to be $650, and that was, they work this 10 months straight. They start in August, and they do August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, and May. 10 months. So if you do the math, it's $100 a month. So what we are now requesting is it go to $650 stipend for 10 months, down to $65. And I would really like if we could do something to reconsider, because they put in so much time. They spend so much of their own money. And believe it or not, a lot of the coaches, the ones that I've dealt with, and my children were in chess for a total of 10 years, pull that money that they get and they give it back to the kids in supplies because they have to find some way to make it up. So I'd like to see if we could somehow reconsider that. Then if you move down, that next highlighted, it says we were funding the 1st through 5th place teams in BISD. We fought hard for that. We fought years for that. We have regressed back to 1st through 3rd place. That's going to knock out some team for funding. I'd like to look at that, but I see we have no funds. I don't want to go and attack the brainiacs of the district and take away the sport that keeps them top notch. So I'd like to reconsider that. If you go to page 15, I'm sorry, my computer's a little slow because it's a little old. Okay, here we go. On page 15 at the top, it went from a maximum of 12 students per team plus 2 coaches down to a maximum of 6 students per team plus 2 coaches. That will keep us from competing with the teams that show up from New York that bring 30 students. If we turn around and go back to 6, you are taking away some of the cream of our crop, because the more numbers you have, the better you can do. I am totally against that, because we used to be 8. We went up to 12. We were excited. Now we didn't just go back to 8. We dropped all the way back to 6. I have a very big issue with that. If you move down, you will see that the district was funding 5 days. Now they want to fund 4 days. And of course, they get to come back the next morning because we finish Sunday night with the awards at 8 o'clock at night. And I've been to these events, so you can only fly out the next morning. Here's the problem with that. They just killed our national team, because we start playing Friday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon in the national tournament. I say we because I pay out of my pocket to go to all these events, because I love to see kids succeed in this sport. It starts Friday at 1 o'clock. So you play Friday, we pay for Friday. We pay for Saturday, we pay for Sunday, and we pay for Monday to come back. That's 4 days. Ladies and gentlemen, I have flown where I got my child out of the airport, ran to the hotel with suitcases in hand, put them outside in the lobby and hope nobody stole them, while I went and sat my child to play a game going for a national title. We cannot cut it down to 4 days, because the travel, we live in the southern part of the United States of America. And if you get on an airplane, I have tried it. You cannot get across the country in 2 hours. You can't. You have to change planes. You have weather. You have all kinds of delays. For us to invest so much money and for a child to be going for a $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 scholarship if he wins that title, and for us to cut it down to 1 day and say, here, take a dice, roll it, I hope you make it there. That to me is totally unacceptable, because someone didn't consider the national tournament. They start every Friday at 1 o'clock. You cannot get off an airplane, because they don't fly out of here that early, no matter how hard you try. So that really affects us. And the next one, okay, those are the only ones. The next one is an excellent change, because now you're going to be a little bit more detailed as to what rules we use for the Swiss system. So I would like to table this item, to take it back to the drawing board, and please address the concerns that I have mentioned. I mean, you're welcome to come and discuss it, but at this point, because I feel that those concerns were not looked at from the child's point of view, from the coach's point of view, from someone that's actually sitting across the table trying to win a very prestigious title, we did not take those things into consideration, and that is going to really affect our team. So I'd like for us to table this and send it back and not approve it as it stands, because it will literally cut them off at the knees.
I have a question. Question. Who submitted this handbook? Does it come from administration or it came from the chess program itself?
It's a committee that gets together
Okay.
and makes
So
suggestions.
you're saying the committee didn't look at these things carefully?
Yes, and I'm sorry to say, but I've been on that committee, and the pressure from sometimes around us and sometimes administration, I don't mean to step on toes, but sometimes it's kind of required, is they give you these recommendations and these suggestions. I've been sitting there, and people are leaving. Their kids are graduating, and, they're like, well, okay, well, I'm that kind of person. My kids are gone from school. My kids are making it in life because I'm there till God calls me home. But I will fight for everybody else's kid. My kid doesn't have to be part of the system. So I don't know what they used.
Oh, yeah, because they're the ones proposing the changes, from what I understand.
Right, and I get calls from the parents in the chess community, which is huge, because we have 1,000 kids playing on a weekend, and they're saying, what are they doing to us?
Administration makes that, but you have a.
Yes, I just have a question. I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with what you said. We have talented students, very dedicated adults. But was that not part of the budget process? I mean, pretty much we agreed we did not want to cut anything. We did
Right.
not want to make cuts.
Not on successful
But
programs.
a lot of them are successful. That's why we have them. But I mean, is this not one of those budgetary necessities, Dr. Montoya? Haven't we not been discussing that throughout the budget committees?
It's my understanding that several of the areas, including chess and other areas, were also discussed that possibly there would be cuts because of the overall budget issue. And so it was discussed from that perspective as far as administration and people involved from that perspective.
Right. And again, I don't disagree with you, Mrs. Peña. You are correct.
But may I mention that it comes from a grant, sir? That the grant is funding it, and the grants can be written to fund this. So I'm not talking about our general funds, because I have San Benito, who I've been watching and closely monitoring San Benito, and 100% of the budget was coming from the grant. So I'm saying, let's look at it, please. Let's not turn around and do this to the kids, because we can't go.
Dr. Montoya?
We can't get
Can
there.
you
Dr. Montoya,
rebuttal?
can you
Ms.
interject?
Peña, I believe it was your group that spearheaded the overall process. If you want to share some information.
Dr. Montoya, Mrs. Presas Garcia, and members of the board, the $650 stipend is in line with the district's recommendation and proposal for the 35% in stipends, and that would be reflective of that. I have Merrill Hammes and I have Jaime Rojas here that could discuss with you, if you would like, the explanations and the thinking behind the committees.
Just one question. Is it grant money or is it
it
school
grant money or
district
not?
money?
There's no such grant.
Okay.
Thank
But I'm
you.
aware
Thank
of.
you.
If I may, I remember speaking with Dr. Atkinson, and we did have Century 21 grant used for this. So am I?
Oh, maybe they can use.
No. They did use some. So are you saying we have never used any grant money, Mrs. Peña, for this program?
Dr. Atkinson, if
Can-
you'd like to
uh,
come
is-
up and
okay,
maybe
she's here.
answer that.
I can answer that. We have a proposal for the 7th round of 21st Century that we have included chess, I believe. It is an after-school program. It is a Saturday program, and it will help us tremendously, as well as funding, as well as practice for the students. But can I say that we will have the funds for all of the sponsors and all of the travel that is involved in our chess? I can't at this time. Dr. Atkinson, would you like to respond?
Good afternoon, Dr. Montoya, members of the board, Mrs. Peña. The discussion we had, actually, Mrs. Minerva Peña and myself, was the idea that in San Benito and other districts, they actually use the 21st Century as really as a foundation to be able to have the out-of-school time, whether it's before school or after school, focus on certain key areas, and one of them is chess. I know with our Cycle 6, we tried to include as many as possible, but it was very difficult because our elementary kids get served at the high school. But I explained to Ms. Peña that a lot of the principals that are involved in Cycle 7 wanted to have it for next year. But currently, we are not able to support chess through any of the grants. But for next year, I know that it's definitely a possibility for at least 9 of the campuses.
So that would be next year, like starting September of
August.
Yes.
August.
Okay,
Yes.
so with that in mind, I would strongly, Mr. Hammonds, Mr. Rocha, I would strongly ask that we relook at this, because when you do fly, Mr. Rocha, you've attended some of these. When you, Rojas, I'm sorry, Mr. Rojas, I so apologize. Mr. Rojas, when we do fly to a national tournament at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm talking about 1 o'clock, the bell rings, here we go, shake hands. You're not giving them that day to take off. Okay, but you take off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, that's 5 days. You cut it to 4.
Morning after. They arrived the morning
So
after.
in the 4th day, you're not including the travel day.
They're including the travel day.
So,
We're asking them to return the day after the tournament.
okay, then I'm totally confused, so work with me.
Can you?
Yeah,
They're not going before.
you're leaving, they leaving on Thursday.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's Thursday they're flying.
Right.
They have to have a hotel. They're not going to sleep on a park bench. So they're going to be there Thursday. They're going to spend the night there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they come back on Monday. So you're just talking about the hotel 4 days.
Right.
So they do get to actually be gone 5 days till they come back. Okay, can we get that language a little more specific in there?
It's on there. It says the morning after.
Right, but so then the morning after is not included in the 4 days. You said yes, so the answer is no.
Okay, thank you.
Wait, no. Please, this is really important to me. We are who we are, statistically, academically, because of this program, and I will fight till God says go home. But for right now, I'm serious, guys.
Ms. Peña, can we allow Mr. Aguilar to say something
let me
too,
just
because
finish real
he's been
quick.
waiting?
Let me just finish real quick.
Thank you.
please. You're saying that the 4th days is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, come back Monday.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's not included in the 4 days, the morning after. Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure. 'Cause before the 5 days included the morning after. So you just reworded it. That, okay. And I have something else, but go ahead.
No, I was
Okay.
just going to say that if that's the only concern we have, I don't see why we can approve the booklet.
Because I'm
and
not
let-
finished.
Hold on, ma'am.
Please let him finish, Ms. Peña.
And let the administration correct that 4-day delay you're talking about, since they're leaving before the tournament starts and come after the tournament. That can be revised later on, pending board recommendations that we do that. But as budget cuts, we ask everybody to take a 35%.
I understand that, but
And so
I'm okay with that.
So you're okay with that, but I'm saying that can be changed if he's agreeing that it's a 5-day trip rather than the 4. I mean,
I'm not finished.
well, I'm
They cut to 6
hold on, ma'am.
students.
Please, Ms.
All
Peña,
you
let
need to
him
do
finish.
is go back, like you said, and correct it. But I make a motion that we approve
No, but
the
sir.
I'll second
let
the
me-
motion.
Let me
We have
finish,
a-
please. I am not, I have
Ms. Peña,
to
can we
finish.
come back to this
No, sir, we
item?
can't because we can't approve. If you approve it, I can't come back.
You can make a note for them to do
12
what.
students, sir, used to go. They cut it down to 6. You're not a strong team at 6. I'm asking them to reconsider that and leaving it at 12. Last year, we had a hard fight. I even went to one of the meetings
They are going to do that. We have a motion and a second.
On a
to
second,
change
all
it
those
back
in
to 12.
favor?
All right.
Okay,
All those
then-
in favor?
Can I make the
Aye.
motion?
We
Well,
have a
there's a
motion and a
motion already on the
second. We've had a
table, Ms.
motion and a
Peña.
second.
Motion to approve the item and then for them
To
to look into those
reconsider.
matters.
Okay.
They're going to reconsider those things.
Just
They're gonna
go
come
on the
back.
record, go on record. Motion, second by Mr. Aguilar. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Please make a note.
And,
Dr.
excuse me,
Montoya,
wait,
with the
excuse me,
changes that
please.
Ms.
I know somebody's trying to catch a plane to get out of here, but guys, this is important to me, and I'm going to fight you to the very end.
Calm
Please.
down, Ms. Peña.
Okay, please understand that the motion was made with reconsidering the 12 students back on and not 6. And clarifying, because sometimes when I was taking my kids to school, the principals would not read that day as being the day after. It was part of the 4 days. Please reconsider that. I want that
It's
in the
done, ma'am. It's done.
We've already said it. Thank you. It's on record.
Mr. Hammonds, we'll spend some time here very quickly and review this again as per the discussion here.
The minutes. Thank you, and they're on the minutes.
Thank
We
you.
now move to item number 9, recommend approval to authorize administration to accept the Palo Alto Support Service Center as substantial complete. And I believe Ms. Longoria had a question.
Yes, ma'am. I'm looking at page 25. It's the certificate of substantial completion document. And about halfway to the page, I notice that there's a cost estimate of work that is incomplete or defective, a total of $375,000. And my question is, are these $375 part of the contract already included in there in the contract, or is this additional?
Mr. Guerra, since you were the key person on this, if you could assist us with that, please.
Dr. Montoya, Madam President, members of the board, in response to the question, we have 5% retainage on the project. So the 5% retainage would cover the cost that has been here dubbed as incomplete or defective of the 375,000. Now, in addition to this, I might add that this document was prepared about 2 weeks ago in preparation for the June the 8th meeting. And since that time, we have completed about 50% of the items that are on the punch list. In addition to that, we still retain the 370,000 in retainage to ensure that these things are taken care of.
What is the,
And your question was, is this part of the contract? Yes, ma'am, it is part of the contract.
okay, and what is the percentage of the retaining?
5% on the entire project.
Of what amount?
I don't remember the exact amount.
The
Cost of the
total amount,
project.
the whole project.
Cost of the project.
I don't have that information offhand, ma'am, but I'll get that for you. Cesar, could you come to the podium, please? I know that he has that number.
Yeah, I think I saw it on page 31. I think it was 8-point-something million dollars.
8.1 million.
Okay, and
Ms. Garcia, members of the board, Mr. Montoya, yes, the 5% comes out to $392,000. That's what we still retain after, if we authorize the payment that's on the agenda today.
If also, if I may call your attention to page 56 in your agenda, and this is the next payment that we are asking be approved. And on this page, you will find the original contract amount of $8,150,694. The retainage of $392,974.
okay, and my next question is, so in other words, BISD is paying for any kind of defective work that is done? We're paying for our own defects or defects that are found?
No, ma'am, these are defects that are found that have to be completed before we approve, before we release the 5% retainage.
And they're subtracted from the retainage?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Okay, and also, I would like for you to ensure, because yesterday through the walkthrough, and I'd like to thank Mr. Garza and you, Mr. Guerra, it was very helpful, because after seeing that long list of, the punch list, there was quite a few items on there that needed corrections. So, I noticed there was some maintenance workers over there, so if you could please ensure that we do get reimbursed for those workers that were out there cleaning the floors.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. As I explained yesterday, we have our own crews do the waxing of the floors. They have more experience. Our experience with contracting out, or I should say outsourcing that portion of the job has been that we have found that our crews have more experience with that type of work, and they do a much better job. So what we do is we do the work ourselves, and then what they'll do is they will take the amount for that work will come off of the contract.
Right, and
And
perhaps.
will be returned to us as part of the contingencies left over.
Okay, so if you could just please ensure that we do get that reimbursement. And
Absolutely.
perhaps also in the future, maybe you should just delete that from the contract from the very
Yes, ma'am,
beginning.
that's something that we'll take into consideration.
Okay, and that was all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have a comment. I do want to thank Mr. Guerra and Mr. Garza and Mr. Martin. I didn't get the last name. Espinosa. Because I think that at the Palo Alto Center is going to be really something that the district has been needing for years. And thank you all for making sure and ensuring the construction company that was there crosses all the Ts and dots all the Is. So we're counting on you gentlemen to make sure that that punch list is completed. And we trust that it will be. But it's a nice facility. If any of you get a chance to go out to Palo Alto, make sure that there's a guard there, so you have to ask for permission. But it is, I think once it's opened and occupied by the different departments, I think it would be a nice tour. It's a nice addition to the district. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I too, Ms. Presas Garcia and Dr. Montoya, want to congratulate you. I went on the tour later that afternoon. It's a beautiful place. They're gonna love it. There's room to stretch, and they all have break rooms, individual bathrooms. It's really, really a nice place. So thank you for all your time and effort, because it turned out beautiful. But please, like Dr. Savera said, stay on that punch list, please.
Do I
I
have
move to
Thank
approve.
Do I have a motion? Motion by Dr. Escobedo, second by Mr. Aguilar. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 7-0. We now go to number 10, recommend a concurrence with the Employee Benefits Committee and Administrator's recommendation to approve the following voluntary employee insurance products: the Dental Humana, Disability, the Standard Life, the Standard of Texas Life, and Vision, Davis Vision. Additionally, the committee voted to return to Colonial for the cafeteria plan section 125 and related products due to the non-fulfillment of services obligation by the current provider. And I believe two of our board members had questions and concerns regarding these items. We'll go with Ms. Longoria.
Okay, first of all, I would have liked to have seen a backup of, from each of these vendors, just to make the comparisons, you know, as to what we have now and as to what we're gonna be going into. And also, I would like to know if the insurance ad hoc committee meeting had any input in this, or participation in the selection of these vendors.
Mr. Fuller, if you'll share that information.
Ms. Longoria, to answer your second question, no, they did not, because I think the mission of the ad hoc was only for the health insurance side of the district. It was not part of the voluntary benefits plan. The Employee Benefits Committee, and this all started back probably late last calendar year, probably December. We did have a meeting on January 28th of this year, where we gave the board, in an insurance meeting, we gave the board a process that administration was to follow. That process that we set in place was going to start with the Employee Benefits Committee on first part of February. It was going to go through the process of going out for proposals. It wasn't an actual proposal that was run through our purchasing department, but we ran it like it was. It was the Employee Benefits Committee. They grouped a subcommittee together. On that subcommittee were two of our purchasing department employees and one of our internal auditor staff employees, because we wanted to make it transparent. We wanted to make it all above board for everybody to know what we were doing. In that meeting on the 28th, we went through the vote by the Employee Benefits Committee. It set the meeting date of the Voluntary Products Subcommittee, submit letters to current providers on our intent to solicit presentations, develop district information packet, develop questionnaire and forward to all providers. We advertised. We received the summarized questionnaires from any potential vendor. We contacted the providers and scheduled presentations. The subcommittee met to review and to sign a disclosure conflict of interest statement. They conducted presentations on, I believe, June the 1st of this month. They evaluated, they ranked the products. The subcommittee then met with the committee as a whole. The whole EBC took a vote by vendor or by product. The ballots were reconciled at that point in time. We numbered them. We knew what ballots went out. We knew what ballots came back in. And then that last of the process is we were going to present the products to the board. And I think we all agreed that the board did want to, and Mr. Michel was here at the time in January, well, we did have a discussion where the board is going to approve the concurrence of the Employee Benefits Committee. We wanted to let the board know what we were doing, what was in the process. Also, through the weekly letters in the last 3 or 4 months, you'd go back and we let you know the status of this process, where we were at, what we were doing, what the Employee Benefits Committee. When I say we, not me, I was not present. I do not vote. This was all based, we facilitated, the administration facilitated the Employee Benefits Committee. So that was the process. Like I said, it was a subcommittee. They had the presentations, and then they presented to the whole committee of the Employee Benefits Committee, which are all the representative. We do strive to have representation from all campuses and departments. Now, we were up to about 60, 62, but I think at that meeting, when we voted, there was like 40 present earlier this month.
Okay, and I do recall that I had requested that next time you had a presentation from all these vendors, group vendors, we would like to be included in the presentation, the board insurance committee. And like from what I heard from the public, a lot of the employees did not hear about or know the changes, or not aware of the changes. And so I think before voting on this, I would like to have a presentation and perhaps get the rest of the employees know of the changes that you all are recommending to take place, because it happened towards the end of the school year and a lot of teachers are not aware of the changes. And we had a bad experience before. And I see that you all are bringing it back because of non-fulfillment of the service obligations by that current provider. So I would like to have a presentation or table this item, or no, not table, I'm sorry. Just go for RFPs again and have a presentation from each vendor.
Mr. Colunga, you also had a question on this item.
Thank you, Madam President. It was along the same lines as Ms. Longoria on the need for more information on the part of employees that have not fully understood, or I know there's a committee that has represented the employees, and there seems to be a breakdown in the communication there, so that perhaps additional time to review the products, since it is a voluntary product, that there should be a freedom of choice on the part of the employees, and there's there's several companies that are being affected by the loss of that particular company, that employees are loyal to. They have a preference on one particular company, and so there should be at least that opportunity to spend more time with it, whatever it takes. But I understand that it's not tabling, but to do it again with better
View into
distribution.
it, look into it a little.
Yeah,
He
it's
had
a question that I try to clarify. I've heard several times that the employees are out for the summer and they weren't aware of these meetings, but school just finished. So where's the problem where the employees were out for summer break when they had these meetings, if school just ended?
They were still in school.
They were still in school.
Yeah, till
So they
June
were
3rd.
still in school, so that part I'm not gonna really accept. As far as going out for RFPs, again, you know, going out for proposals is a big deal for a vendor to put a proposal together. So if all these vendors put proposals, submitted them, and then we say, you know what, do it again. I mean, I have a little bit of a concern, and I'm trying to empathize, see it from the other point of view. Okay, you go through all this work to put this data together, this packet to submit, and you know what, do it again because we just feel that you should. I have a problem comprehending that.
In
Go
the
ahead,
same
Mr.
token,
Aguilar.
Mr. Escobedo, I do remember you saying that you were concerned about employees knowing everything about how it will impact the insurance. So now you're saying, I'm sympathetic with the vendor. I'd rather be empathetic about the employee, that perhaps if there are concerns about it, that someone did not get information, I'd rather go side with my employees and say, hey, you want our business? You want the employee's business? Well, let's do it again. And make sure that communication is obvious, that in 3 meetings there was not impact the 7,500 employees that we have. It's a large school district, and 3 meetings, and then June, what was it? June 1st, sir. June the 1st. But the schools is closing, the schools are closing up
You're
and getting
finishing
ready to vacation. It's a lot of work.
they have to
Mr.
do.
Rivera's on the part of the employees.
Sure.
To close down the school, you'll be surprised how busy we are when we go to school. So
Sure.
that's what I just
Yeah,
want
no,
to-
well, first of all, I'm not taking sides. I'm just
No,
making a
not you,
comment.
but I just
But
make
if I understood Mr. Fuller, and I know that sometimes we lose him because of technicalities or whatever. It went through committee and subcommittee.
It went through the subcommittee first, and then it went to the committee as a whole. And we would only hope that throughout the year, anything discussed in the the Employee Benefits Committee, that would then kind of be transferred to the faculty and staff.
Sure. And I also, recall us having several agenda items in the past, in essence reprimanding administration or the committee somehow for having made a change without board approval. And now that the change is being reverted to the way we had requested several times, now we don't want to do it. Is that right, or am I missing something? Did I make sense?
Clarification,
Yes,
no.
Yeah, when the committee made a change on one of the vendors, a lot of us were upset. We had several agenda items on different meetings, basically expressing our malcontent for that change without being done board approval. Seems like I recall we making comments that, hey, we want to reverse that decision and go back to the way we were. And now that it's happening, we're not happy with that decision either?
Well, my concern, if I may, is that we've had an outcry, and like 50% of our public forum today brought in questions or information, and like, I have questions, so I don't know.
They were vendors.
Well,
Yeah, they were vendors.
I thought one was a teacher, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
One of them was
I
a
thought that
teacher.
it was a teacher. That's what,
and-
and that, I listen to
One of 'em
teachers.
was
Okay, one, okay, good.
One is, gets us from recognized.
Yes.
Yeah, and my
So-
comment was that too, that we need to probably get a little bit more insight to give the employees the opportunity to listen. And maybe the timing, for future reference, pick a date or whatever where, and then we can see if it's, in all fairness to the teachers, because Mr. Aguilar is correct. The end of the year for teachers is very tiring and trying, because they have to check out, they have to make sure everything's in order, all of this. Once they're done, then maybe like this would have been a good week or next week after they're out. So that's something just to consider for the future. But I do think we need to probably, listen to what the
needs
other
of the
people, the audience was saying.
Thank you,
Go
ma'am.
ahead, Mr. Aguilar.
Dr. Montoya, it seems like every time we go through this process, we always get complained that majority of our people do not get the word. And so I don't know what the administrator for insurance can do to close this gap, because we have talked about this already in the past, many, many times, that how can we get our people know what's going on with their insurance? I know it's theirs, they have the right to buy whatever they want to and spend their money where they want to, but at least give them an opportunity to listen to different vendors, and we as an administration, well, you as administration, need to have more close communication with our employees. After all, we decided that we say, even though we might not use the proper word as being the gatekeepers, because we all said that we should allow our employees to have the best insurance. Well, let's communicate with them and let them decide. I know they met with the committee and subcommittee, but sometimes some of these committees do not get the whole population involved. And all we're asking is, given an opportunity to get everybody involved so there will be no complaints later on. Because I know even if we try this again, they're going to have someone, I didn't know anything about it, but at least they have a major impact, Mr. Whittemore.
May we hear from Mr. Whittemore, maybe? Would that be appropriate?
Mr. Fuller, is Mr. Whittemore here?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Whittemore, if you come up here to the, thank you.
President Garcia, Interim Superintendent Montoya, members of the board, yes. Again, we looked at it, ladies and gentlemen, from the standpoint that our EBC was built up specifically for the purpose of representing the employees. Again, we've had very good participation. We've ranged anywhere from 40 to 55 members. Each month we meet on the first Wednesday. The primary purpose of this committee, as evidenced in the bylaws, is to funnel the communication on. Again, and I totally respect and understand the timing issue and everything, but that was our primary goal, was to do it now so we have the summer to implement and bring in the materials, the goods, to communicate, educate the employees, set up the enrollment, and do the payroll uploads prior to January 1, when it would become effective. We learned real quick from the last time.
Go ahead, Mr. Aguilar.
Mr. Montoya, again,
Yes,
Dr.
sir.
Montoya. I know that you said they had a good representation, about 40 members of the committee, correct? Did you assess how effective they were when they went back and talked to the faculties?
Again, we assessed it, Mr. Aguilar, based on the feedback we got from the current Section 125 provider with a unanimous vote to go back to the current one
Well,
based
that's what
on
I'm
service
asking you.
issues. That was.
That information that you gave to those in the committee or subcommittee, did they go back to their campus and did you assess their feedback or did you call them back and say, how's it going on your campus? They understand what we're trying to do? Any other things that you could assess that when they come back to you and say, yes, this is what we want to do, that represented the majority of those in the faculty ranks?
Yes, sir. One of the items we have on our agenda is a standing agenda for any questions, concerns, or comments. And one of the areas that we did experience the difficulty in was the service that we've received so far. I came to the board several times during the issue with the current provider on the Section 125 as an example. What we did, we assessed it throughout going back, and sir, I came to the board and said, I take responsibility, and if it needed to be corrected, I stand here before you and I am correcting it based on the issues that they had. And again, we went through this process. We feel that it is as fair as possible. I totally stand behind the process in my subcommittee and my EBC and their votes, and that is what we've tried to do, sir, is try to really beef up this committee to represent the employees. I understand that vendors are going to be upset. I understand that. I deal with it every year through the health, through the voluntary products, through the different insurance products. I understand that, and that is a part of the job. But again, I go based on what my employees vote for, and I have to support them completely. Again, as Mr. Fuller stated, I have internal auditing represented, I have purchasing representatives, I have nurses, counselors, teachers, office staff from various departments on my subcommittee, and they voted on this. And they did not feel anything in terms of time was pressed. In fact, they wanted it early so that we could get the word out and communicate the products and educate the employees. Yes, ma'am.
I think we need to look after the interest of our employees because, I didn't realize I saw dental and I thought it was Delta Dental. And when my husband saw the agenda item, he asked me, do you know what's on the agenda? And I said, well, yes, but I had missed out that Dental Humana. And then I looked at the rest of the companies and, some of them were the ones that he doesn't have. And he said, well, I was not aware of that. So, obviously you have 40 people that are aware of, but those are the ones only in your committee. And we're really not reaching out there and I know it's a lot of employees, but somehow we got to connect with them and we got to make sure that they're looking at what's coming and for them to be able to make a decision and say, this is what I want. Because it is voluntary insurance. And if you ask me, my husband said no, he's not changing. He wants to stay with what he has. He also has the disability with the one current carrier right now. He does not want to change so those are things that when he saw this, he goes, well, hey, wait a minute, now am I going to have to change? I mean, those are, and I just, I concur with my colleagues here, and I just think that we need to.
May I interject, Ms. President Garcia, please? This
Go
is
ahead,
one of
Mr.
those
Whittemore.
issues also similar to the prior carrier, that employees are not mandated to change. The payroll slots are there. Again, these are the recommendations of the EBC for the employees that they represent. Again, the communication factor will transpire after, but again, the payroll slots are there. We had AFLAC long after we switched to Colonial, and the payroll slots were not closed, so they are still available to the employees.
Dr. Saavedra?
Call a question, Miss.
Okay. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I concur with, she wants to call the question.
Okay. So do I have a motion?
Well,
The motion exists.
we have
The motion.
question,
You have
we need a
question.
second,
Do
and we
I
need a
have a
vote.
second?
I have the second. of her
Okay.
question.
All those in favor of the question
Of the motion.
of the motion made by the question
Well,
of the motion.
What we're doing is that we're actually, if it was 7-0, now we go to the actual vote for the item.
So how many in favor?
All those in favor?
All those in favor
For the question?
for the question?
Aye.
Aye.
Now.
All those against?
Now you
7-0.
go-
Now
now
the
do
motion. Now do I have a motion for?
You have the
So
motion.
let me
Have
read
it
these.
there. Read it. then we
Recommend concurrence with the Employee Benefits Committee and Administration's recommendation to approve the following voluntary employee insurance products: Dental, Humana, Disability, the Standard, Life, the Standard of Texas Life, and Vision, Davis Vision. Additionally, the committee voted to return to Colonial Life for the cafeteria plan, Section 125, and related products due to the non-fulfillment of services obligations by the current provider. All those in Is there a motion to approve the item? Motion fails. We now go to item number 11, discuss consideration possible action regarding the ad valorem delinquent tax collection service RFPs.
Madam
And this
President,
is, go ahead.
I wanted to raise a point of order on this particular item as an item that is based on previous board action brought back by an individual, yourself as president, but I just wanted to clarify whether it can be brought back based on a previous vote of the board, in which you would have to be part of the prevailing side to bring it back for further discussion, action on this particular service. That can be clarified through legal.
Counsel.
I think that determination is premature now because we don't know exactly what the action's being asked of. Right now, the way it reads is regarding basically regarding the letter of May 17th. Now, it does relate to a
No, we're on number 11.
I'm sorry.
I so apologize to you. Turn the page. There you go.
Presentation. The first one was a presentation.
Okay.
So for clarification, wait a minute. Ms. Peña here. Could you please give this to Ms. Peña, please?
Okay, my question.
Let me clarify what the question is to begin with, okay? This is to go out for RFPs because the presentation that was given to us did not show the numbers that we've had in the past. Therefore, this RFP would be that we go out for RFPs and that we get the other people involved to come and bring what their services have been for other entities. Obviously, in our graphs, what we've shown is that we don't have the same collection as other entities have had in the past. And what I mean other entities is your city and your county. Now, obviously, they've been doing well, but we have not. And when the numbers show that we've been given before in the past, and I mean, obviously, we have citizens that are concerned that we have to make sure that we go out there and we collect every penny that's out there for us.
I want the
mean,
attorney to
let me
clarify the
finish.
point of
Let
order
me
before
finish.
you continue your discussion.
Well,
'cause it would
that's
make
why I'm
it mute.
clarifying to him exactly what this RFP
No, but the
means.
point of order the point of order has not, if I may.
Go ahead,
Sir, the
Mr.
point of order that I understand him is that only a prevailing party can bring it back to the table. If I understood correctly, because I was badgered, called, and almost hung for this. So I thought that we had a 2-year contract with a current vendor. So for some, there was a 6-1 vote, 6-4, 1 against. Mrs. Presas voted against it. So then you can bring it back before the contract is even up for renewal to go out and renew. Like I can then bring back Compass Bank questioning or Wells Fargo. I think Wells Fargo is doing bad even though I voted against it, because that's the question here. A year ago when this was voted,
3 years ago.
Mr. Fuller, Dr. Montoya, if I can be corrected, it was a 2-year contract. We're on year 1. It was a vote 6-1, 6-4, 1 against, and Ms. Presas voted against it, and now she's bringing it back to the table. So under that, is that properly being done?
I'm going to have to begin the way I was
3
before,
years.
even though I was on a mistaken agenda item.
Oh, sorry.
It depends on what the issue is. You know, for example, boards often enter into a contract at some time and you have a termination clause in it, for example. If circumstances arise later on, that's why you have the issue there. It wouldn't mean that a condition arose that would allow you to do that then you couldn't say, well, we entered into a contract before. It's a different item.
So I can
the
bring
issue of
back.
consideration is whether you're approving the contract itself. Here, And I'm even going a step further in making some assumptions, because here the issue is even going out for an RFP, which really begs the question of, is there an issue with the current services or the current contract? So it wouldn't be, the issue of reconsideration is really the very item itself. So it may depend on where the discussion leads to and what people say. I still think it's premature to know at this point in time whether you have a point of order on the basis that it's an improper reconsideration.
And
Thank
the
you,
reason
Ms.
that I
Michelle.
really asked Mr. Michelle, because you have a good point, and I guess what you're saying is like we into our contract, like I'm gonna go back and I see that we lost thousands of dollars, and we can bring it back on the fact, because what your concern is, you're saying is that the presentation that was made, she says that Ms. Spessa just brought it to my attention that other entities have collected more, and the problem that I'm having is that we didn't have that presentation where we didn't have the city come in and present and compare, you know, dollars to dollars, or the county dollars to dollars. So that presentation that she's working on, I'd like to know, I'd like for us to get that presentation so we can make educated decision on the fact that where are we in compared to someone else, because the information she's bringing wasn't presented to us, only what we're collecting. Okay, what is somebody else collecting? Can we get the city to come and present so we can compare ours to theirs?
Okay.
Can we bring the county?
And,
That's my question.
also, Ms. Peña, after reviewing the Texas Education Agency, what we've reported to them as well, the numbers, the net collections also. And
What page are you
it is my well, we've always had it in the books. We can log into.
I thought you gave it to me. I
Yeah.
apologize.
No, that also, Ms. Peña, we need to, some of us on this board will need to abstain on this item. So for the reason that I've seen that the base tax collection has decreased somewhat, I'm not saying that we're going to terminate the company. I'm saying that what we need to do is we need to consider RFPs. Now, the information also about the county and the city, it's on the Isaguila. You go in there and they give you the breakdown of what
Right,
has
right.
been
But
collected
I
and
would
what
like
has
for
not
the-
been collected.
As a presentation so the whole community can see
They
it.
didn't
'Cause
present
don't
to
all
me,
have-
ma'am. They did
no.
not present to me. I looked it up
Your
on the
research.
yes, ma'am. So, and like Ms. Riva Cardenas just told us earlier, we need to make sure that we go out there and try to bring in as much money as we can. So, you know, my concern is that if we can look at the actual numbers, once we'll be able to look at those numbers is when these people come and present to us as different vendors.
Ms.
So-
Garcia.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Aguilar.
You know, it seems to me that maybe I heard wrong, but you said it's been a habit that we've been decreasing in the money's coming in. It's understood. I could be wrong. This year we are ahead about $250,000 collected from last year. Is that correct, Tony? Are we ahead or behind?
As compared to last year, we're ahead of the collection.
We are ahead. So actually, you know, we're collecting more money than last year, and chances are with 1 month to go, we're going to collect some more. And to say that the other entities, talking about the county and the city, have the same person collecting taxes, well, we don't have to follow that route. We can be our own person, and when we have someone that gives us a better interest rate than the one that the city and the county are doing, then we're ahead of the game. So there's no reason to all this when we're saving money in the district. And here we are as a board saying, let's save all the money we can for the district. Let's get all the money we can, and we're doing it. And then here comes someone saying, hey, I just heard this, and let's have a presentation. Let's go and look for another company. This is totally wrong.
Okay, Mr. Aguilar, and thank you, sir. In 2005, 2006, there was a percentage of 39.78 collected, which was 4.963 million. 2006, 2007, 4.890 million, which was 39.30%. In 2007, 2008, it was 5.217 million 145, which was 39.48%. And when the changes came, of course, there was a drop. So there's been a drop, sir. And yes, there's a month left, sir. But anyways, even though you say what you say, these people are under professional services, sir. And if our numbers are dropping and we need to go out there to make sure that we get as much as we can, obviously it's something that needs to be looked at. We're going through a stage of you know, where our district is financially going to be hurting. We don't know until we continue to work with the budget, and anything would help. But those numbers don't lie. And these numbers are the same ones that are here. And on the presentation, I was told that it was like about 87%, 88%. the last presentation we had during the budget. I mean, but the numbers obviously are there at the at Tony Saguida's tax collection, and we got a notice, a list of people that supposedly were delinquent, and we didn't see some of the names that we know that there's been concerns and there's been in question. So even at that, we have some concerns there.
Ms.
May I?
Pesas, if I may?
Go ahead, Mr. Aguilar.
If you have a list of names that are delinquent and were not are you talking about the list of all the lawsuits that have been filed?
Yeah, there were some lawsuits.
So have you asked why those people were not on the list? Maybe they're working on this month or whatever it is. We can just not assume that nobody's gonna take care of it.
If I may, Ms. Presas, I have a very important question to ask, and I want to ask the attorney at this point, if we can go into executive session, because I don't want to say this in public. If I have to, I will, because I'm tired of getting badgered. I'm tired of the underhanded things that are happening. I don't want to talk, it's very crucial. It's a discussion of something that was just handed to me by Ms. Presas that I need to discuss, but I would like to have your professional legal opinion on it. I need your legal opinion.
You can go into closed session to discuss legal issues if that's what the board wants.
It's a legal opinion, yes. So we need to go to the back. I'm requesting we go to the back as a board.
Do I have a motion?
I move that we go into executive session.
Motion by Ms. Peña, second by Mr. Aguilar. All those in favor?
Let's go
Aye.
see.
Motion carries
I
7-0.
don't want to go.
You don't want to go?
I don't want to go.
425. As per item number 11, discuss consideration possible action regarding the ad valorem delinquent tax collection services, RFPs. Do I have a motion? Motion fails. Let the records reflect 4-0, Ms. Perez. We now go to discuss consideration possible action regarding TEA's comments and requests in letter to BISD dated May 17, 2011 on the 2009-2010 annual financial report and related reports. On that one, Dr. Saavedra, you had a question. Do you have the backup?
No, I did.
No, you didn't have the,
I didn't check it.
okay. On this one, I'd like to review it with the public, which is May 17, 2011. On this one, Dr. Montoya, you might not be familiar, but do you have the backup there for the letter?
I do not, have not seen that.
Okay, that is, so we can become familiar with it.
What item are you in?
We're item number 12, sir, the TEA letters that we got.
Here goes another.
So what happened to item you?
Motion failed, sir. We had a 4, there was no action. We have to move with the meeting. For the public, Dr. Montoya, this letter was received on May 17th, and I'd like to review it. Do we have a screen projector, Ms.? Can we go ahead and put it on there so people can, the public can see, and then maybe you can. I'll review from which one? The May 17th, and then we'll go to June. We would like the public to be made aware of the following letters that we've received, and this affects our financial reports and reports that have been forwarded to us by TEA in response to the external audit. I believe our school council our attorney's aware of these letters, am I correct?
Yes, I've
Michelle.
seen the letters.
And these letters tend to come to the districts when there's some discrepancies or concerns about how the monies are spent and so forth. Am I correct? Or are we in compliance?
Right, it's a directives and suggestions regarding findings from the district's audit.
And I'm going to read the paragraph that says, in 2009-2010 annual financial report for the year ended June 30th, 2010 has been reviewed by the Division of Financial Audits, Texas Education Agency. As a result of our review and the audit's disclosures to your attention, and that the Board of Trustees is directed to the following. So this letter is directed to the Board of Trustees and also administration. Some of the general comments are: the district disclosed in Note 2B that the district expenditures exceeded the budget in the two functions of the general fund. Under the law, expenditures from governmental fund types cannot be made without authority of appropriation. Please review carefully the Financial Accountability System Resource Guide regarding budgets amendments and take action to ensure that future expenditures are made within the budget amounts. And it continues down below with other concerns that it also has. I believe one of our colleagues here on the board, she had several concerns regarding the 2009-2010 financial budget. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, and I'd like to point out that it's a coincidence, or that the same items that I pointed out, areas of concern, are exactly what TEA has put in this letter, such as not in compliance with policies and procedures on purchasing. Hold on, please.
Point of order. Madam President, is this an evaluation of an employee?
No, sir, it's not an evaluation. We have to notify the public of these letters.
It just reiterates my concerns that I brought forth the last board meeting when I was requesting the reasons why I wanted to hire a forensic auditor.
It was sent to me and then I forwarded to you guys. It's sent to me and the superintendent, and then I forwarded to you guys.
And they're the same areas of concern, such as purchase orders after the invoice. There were some invoices paid without a purchase order, and there was some invoices that exceeded the amount of the purchase orders. There was a check in a large amount, like a 1.9 million, for a purchase of property that was issued without a purchase order. And this is exactly what the letter points out. It also includes a time frame. I'm sorry, for the district failed to maintain time and effort records that identify the processes and forms that it would use to ensure compliance, and that's on the federal monies, Title I, Part A. So, you know, this letter just confirms my concerns that I had brought up prior meeting, board meeting.
Ms. Garcia.
Mr. Aguilar, go ahead.
Of course, we need this information. When did Mr. Castles give us the audit?
The audit report for the period ending June 30, 2010 was approved by the board on December 7th.
Right. And of course, this procedure is just standard procedure that when there's some discrepancies in the audit that is brought to our attention, and one of them was a food. Can I mention the department?
Yes, you can. Yes.
One department had exceeded by $2,000 in one of the POs, and also, of course, the one that Mrs. Longoria mentioned on the property, who we, the board members, approved the buying of that property. In fact, Mrs. Madame Presa was very happy about it because she said we got a bargain at that time because they were sending to us at a square foot. And this is why the board bought that property that Ms. Longoria is talking about. Now, once we know these discrepancies, it's up to the district to write a plan of action. Isn't that correct? And answer those allegations, you want to call them, to the auditor, and also your duty is to report it to TEA.
That's correct,
And then it's TEA reads what do you call it, your explanation of what happened, and that's the result of that letter. Isn't that correct?
that's the result of Ms. Longoria's letter that she was referring to.
Exactly, right?
Yes.
But we knew this information way back in June of last year when the audit,
When the audit was approved in December 7th, this was part of the audit.
that's right.
And we're talking two different letters here. Ms. Garcia's talking about the letter from TEA, and Ms. Longoria is talking about the findings that are embedded in the audit report.
Right, and also, of course, that maybe she has not finished reading the letter. The letter says also that as far as TA is concerned, the audit is what?
The audit's closed. If you could turn to page
Closed.
2, please.
Yeah, can I finish what I was gonna
Please
Go
do.
ahead
discuss?
and
Let me finish.
read with the letter of the TEA, because I think that the public really needs to know as if we are in compliance or we're not in compliance. We're not evaluating anybody, but these are letters that have come before us, and we need to be aware of what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. And if there's any plan of action that needs to be done, then we need to implement it. And as per, I believe Dr. Montoya will need to, follow up so he becomes familiar with it, because if he's the interim, he'll need to make sure that these problems do no longer continue. And that's really our concern. Because besides this letter, Mr. Aguilar, May 17th, we received another one on June 9th of 2010. I had never seen that letter before.
2009.
No, June
2009.
9th of 2010, sir.
2009.
So, June 9th of 2010 was the other letter. So if you want to proceed, Ms. Longoria. Last year. Last
Okay, Mr. Aguilar, for your information, I'm not making any kinds of allegations.
How do you say that?
No,
Yes, you did. Okay, whatever.
go to the,
Okay, and,
Make it clear.
I did hear you say allegations.
could
All right,
we just
Mrs.
proceed?
Longoria, you
Ms.
have the floor.
Longoria, you have the
Okay.
floor.
Okay. Okay, anyway, it's nothing, it's nothing personal. Here, it's nothing personal, and I want the public to know this is nothing personal against anyone, but however, laws have been violated. It says here, under the law. It doesn't say under policies. Under the law, expenditures from the governmental fund types cannot be made without authority of appropriation. So these funds that were expended were not appropriated in the budget, in the adopted budget. So we have violated that law already. And yes, and there was a note here that says that we're in the deficit.
Ms. Peña, did you have this
I
letter
have
in
the
front
floor.
of you?
Can you please not interrupt me? It's right there, it's on the screen. Number 1, I'm reading number 1, general comments. It says here to please review carefully the Financial Accountability System Resource Guide regarding the budget amendments and take action to ensure that future expenditures are not within the budgeted amounts. And they also noted that there was a deficit of $2,563 in the catering fund of the internal service. The district should take corrective measures to eliminate this deficit. Please ensure that all financing sources or funds are appropriately charged in the future. The district disclosed in item number 1001 of the schedule of findings and question costs was not in compliance with their policies and procedures for the use of purchase orders and purchase order modifications. This is what I was referring to, that I had pointed out this area of concern. And also the schedule of findings did not include a time frame for the corrective action nor a specific contact person regarding the findings of this audit. So therefore, I don't think administration submitted a response to any of these findings. For the entities requiring a single audit, circular A-133 requires that the corrective action for the current year include the name of a person and the proposed time frame for correcting these deficiencies. This was noted in the prior year's review letter. This was also noted the previous year, which Ms. Garcia just mentioned, May of 2010. Please be ensured to include this information. And at the last board meeting, the superintendent mentioned that I had made some accusations. They were not accusations. I was just going by the audit report that our external auditor pointed out. I will never make an accusation. I always speak the truth, and I always have my facts in front of me. So they're not accusations or allegations. These are findings that were conducted by found by the auditor, external auditor. And this is all I am bringing up to the public to know what I was talking about.
We also have, Ms. Perez, we also have another letter back in June 9th of 2010. I went back to my weekly reports, the CDs. This was not given to, I can speak for myself. As a board member, I never received it. I'd like to tell the public that we've received 2 letters in the past 2 years where we have not been in compliance. And I'd like my colleagues to share if they've received it or not, because I went over all my CDs, and I was given this letter by TA because I had a concern when we received the May 17th letter.
I think that, may I? Mr. Spuller, was there a response to this letter?
Yes, we did respond through the board member request on May 17th letter. We did respond on a weekly letter. The plan of actions that administration has implemented, and that was sent to all board members probably 2 to 3 Fridays ago.
But TA didn't have the...
Also, I have documents here dating back to 2003, 2004 fiscal year, and I can go even further back. Here's one, August the 3rd, 2005. Here's one, June 27, 2006. Here's one, June 5th, 2007. Here's one, June 17th, 2008. April 10th, 2009. So you want to go back in time, let's go back in time.
Yes, and I have those as well.
These are all documents that we received from TEA. They're standard letters that they've received our audits. They have noted these findings, discrepancies, and it's up to us, the district, to implement internal controls to lessen the risk of them happening again.
And I agree.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Does that mean we're not in compliance?
There are certain areas we're not, but like the second page of every letter we have, it says TEA considers this audit closed.
But we
Every
can,
letter.
let me go back, Mr. Go ahead.
So what's the significance of that statement, the audit closed? Does that mean that they don't find it of significant importance to continue the audit?
In their eyes, the material aspect of these findings are enough that they consider it closed. They will not review it any further. Remember, they are one of our regulatory agencies for the school district. They are TEA. So when they consider it closed, not saying that we forget about it and let it go. We have a job to implement internal controls locally to prevent it or lower the risk of it happening in the future again.
Right. Well, I understand. Let me rephrase my question. So if they thought that discrepancy was of significant importance, they will not close that audit. Is that correct? Or?
Yes, sir. That happened back in 2008, I believe it was. Let me find that letter.
And I was going to ask the same question that Mr. Aguilar asked.
Actually,
today are we in compliance?
Actually, it was the letter dated June 9, 2010, which is the one that's on there. If you look at the second page, can you flip the page, please? And I'm not sure if you can read it on that overhead.
Is that the one that discussed, this is the one that discussed the property that was purchased, and then,
Oh, man,
that's
we're on
the
the
one.
TEA letter.
Yeah, the TEA letter, that's the one that says, we note that the amounts reported as long-term liabilities in Note G, page 52, and the notes of the financial statements do not agree with statements of net assets, accounts 2501 and 2502. Specifically note indicates total liability of 203,700,000. About Exhibit 8 indicates 209 million in combined totals in accounts 2501 plus 2502, or 5,895,000 in additional liabilities not shown in Note G. Please have the auditor review the notes and the balances sheet and send the necessary corrections. Now, let me tell you, I've spoken to this young lady in TEA, and she says this does not mean that it's closed, because if we have a concern, we can always open it up to continue.
Yes,
She
ma'am.
says that doesn't mean that she says it's your all's responsibility and administration that whatever we require, whatever we request, it's taken care of immediately. That's what she told me, and I have an email from her as well. I mean, that's how I've gotten the rest of the information. But, you know, again, Dr. Montoya is here. I wanted to bring it up to share with Mr. Springston, but he's new as well, and so I need to reiterate that these things can no longer continue to happen. Whether you've had reports year after year, they did explain to me that when there's very minute, they just send you that they reviewed your report, and that's that it's been reviewed. But here, obviously, they're specifically indicating, like the property that was purchased for 1.9 million, we approved it on September the 1st, and September the 2nd, the check was cut out for 1.9 million.
Is that on the TEA letter, ma'am?
It is on the TEA letter, sir.
Which number? I don't recall reading that one, and I may have missed it. You could be correct.
Yeah, they indicate they discussed that about the letter.
Which letter is that, ma'am?
The land purchase in question received board approval. It's on the attachment of the package.
Okay, so it's not the TEA letter. You're
But it's
talking about.
attached, but it's attached. They reviewed that as well. I reviewed that with the
Yes, ma'am.
lady.
I'm not arguing what they review. What I'm saying, I'm trying to determine what letter you're on.
Well, that's the attachment to the TA. But
No,
Yeah.
it's that attachment comes from our audit book,
it's from the audit, correction action plan.
on the audit book.
When I spoke to the lady, when I spoke to the young lady that sent me the letter, the second letter, she indicated to me that that was another concern that they had. The property that was purchased for 1.9 million, which we approved on September the 1st, and the check was cut out on September the 2nd.
45J.
Yeah, but now that we've all reviewed this and we've asked the questions as to the severity of the letters, I'd like Dr. Montoya, for, we've made you aware of the letters. I think that our concern is that this no longer continues to happen, and that we take correction action on what's been happening in this district.
We will meet immediately and go item by item and address these issues if they have not been addressed, and we will report back to you as a board.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ms. Garcia?
Go ahead.
And also to ensure that we follow policies and procedures, adhere to the policies and procedures, because the failure to do that, and like it states here in the letter on the second page, May 17, 2011, it says, although no question costs occurred, please note that failure to keep time and effort records in accordance with federal cost principles can result in refunds or federal money to TEA. So we would have to reimburse TEA for all these federal funds.
We've already met with our federal programs people, and it's basically the nurses out of Title I. They're split funded between Title I and local funds. We have a written set of rules that we have implemented. So federal programs, this is their area, and they're working with it.
And also, may I add, throughout the audit report, they specify that we need to adhere and follow policies and procedures. Because there was another finding here back in June 30th, 2009. A large payment for one construction project was made which exceeded the purchase order amount. It should be noted that all construction payments receive approval from the Board of Trustees before they are made. It should also be noted that there was no violation of board policy due to the fact that there was a purchase order in place for the payment in question. Steps are being taken to make sure that the purchase order amount coincides with contract for the construction project. So there was, a large payment amount that exceeded the amount of the purchase order.
Yes, ma'am. That was Penny Elementary, and I believe not only did we discuss it then, but we also discussed it in audit committee meetings with the 3 board members that are on the audit committee.
That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller. No action, just we've indicated, Dr. Montoya, if you could please make sure that we've already corrected all those issues, please. We now go to item number 15, recommend approval to pay VCC LLC $71,811.45 to Palo Alto Support Service to be paid from Local Maintenance Fund 199. Dr. Saavedra, you had a question?
No, it's been answered.
Okay.
Under item, thank you.
Thank you.
I move to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second by Ms. Peña. Motion by Dr. Escobedo. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 7-0. We now go to item number 16, recommend approval of budget amendment 127 in the amount of 10,000 for Fund 429, other special revenue fund, Cougars in Action for Ortiz Elementary, new funding. Ms. Longoria, you had a question on that one? That's the HEB.
No, I made a mistake.
Do I have a motion? Motion by Dr. Escobedo, second by Dr. Saavedra. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 7-0. We now go to item number 18, recommend to renew RFP number 09-150, third-party administrative services, TPA for the BISD Group Health Plan Life, AD&D, and stop loss to Mutual Assurance Administrators, Inc., MAA of Oklahoma, Oklahoma. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Ms. Peña. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Aguilar. Oh, you have a question? Oh, Ms. Longoria, you have a question. Sorry. Ms. Peña, Ms. Longoria had a question.
Yeah, I just noticed that one of the backup agenda items, it's says the proposals were reviewed, and this was dated August 12, 2009. Page 65. 65. Well, let me start again. How many you all did not solicit proposals for this item? You just want to renew, right? Recommend to renew, yeah.
They want to stay with the same insurance company
Okay.
just to extend it.
This will be the third year of the 3-year contract that was approved back in 2009.
Okay, because in other words,
We're just going back historically where it all began, and it began on that agenda item, August 12, 2009.
because these proposals were reviewed by the BIC consultant, insurance consultant last year, and that was Mr. Gary Looney, I believe.
Correct.
So I would feel more comfortable going for RFPs instead of going with the same recommendation that the former consultant made.
Actually, what you're reading, you're looking at last year.
2009. It says proposals were reviewed by the BIC insurance consultant.
Right, that's when we first went with MAA, the very first year. The second year ended September 2010, and which will end right
So
here
who
coming
was
up.
your insurance consultant in 2009?
Probably either Lance Pedley or Gary Looney, I'm not sure. I think it's probably,
Well,
I think one started and the other one ended.
Same.
Well, I would rather go for RFPs.
Thank you, Ms. Longoria. We
So
have a,
I think.
You have a motion.
we have a motion,
Yeah.
so
No, I was just gonna ask a formality question. If we want to do what Mrs. Longoria is suggesting, would this item have to be voted down, and then would you automatically go for proposals, or will we have to stipulate that as we vote it down, or?
we would have to stipulate
specifics
specifics
to
to it.
cover everybody.
So if it gets voted down, we can say, specify that, yeah. And then we go out for proposals, and if they're the best, well, then we rehire them, and if they're not, we'll hire whoever submitted the best proposal. Is that correct?
That's the way
Correct.
it-
Do I have a motion and a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
3.
I'm abstaining because I'm lost. No. I mean, there's a
All
lot of
again- all
questions. No.
All against?
Four.
Yeah,
The
there's a
motion-
lot
the
of questions
motion
I didn't get
fails.
answered. So
Okay,
I can't-
motion fails.
And we
We
are
give
gonna
a
go out for
direct-
proposals.
Go
Mr.
out for
Dr.
RFPs,
Montoya.
Dr. Montoya.
I have too many questions, yes.
Ma'am,
Yes,
and I hope we can find someone that can save us $9 million like he did this time around, instead of going to court. Thank you.
No, we gotta
But
try to
that-
save more.
Mrs. Plazas Garcia, and that's the objective. If we go out, from what I understood you to say, and there's still the best deal, well, they'll stay there. That's the
Yeah.
objective. So you just want to make
and
sure.
if not, then we go out.
Am I,
But it will be at their proposal at that point in time.
in other words, we're giving them an option to go a little bit up. That's what I'm hearing you say, because at that
No,
point.
I'm not saying
No,
that.
but that's the way life cycles.
Whatever proposal they submit.
Again, you're gonna test the market.
Okay, motion
It's just
fails
the
4-0.
Yeah.
Dr. Montoya has been given a directive. Let's move to item number 19, recommend approval
Can
to
I-
award.
One more comment.
Go ahead, Ms. Longoria.
The last insurance meeting we had back January the 19th, no, I'm sorry, January 28th. We,
We had one in April, I believe.
okay, well, the meeting of January 28th, and the handouts here, we had a balance of $535 and 51 that we still needed to get reimbursed. Did we ever receive those monies?
If
It was
you-
a refund, I'm sorry.
If you look at the April 20th Insurance Committee meeting where they presented the second quarter through March 31st, that, I'd have to look at that report.
Well, we have
But they did present
Okay.
in April. Mr. Eric Wright from MAA plus the other vendors were here to present. And I
Okay,
think
thank
that
you.
question was asked.
That was
Thank you. We'll move to item number 19, recommend approval to award RFP number 11-140 Transportation Parking Lot Project Phase Number 2 to GNT Paving LLC, Brownsville, Texas, in the amount not to exceed $446,861.77 to be paid from Local Maintenance Fund 199. You had a question, Ms. Longoria?
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to ask administration, do we still have enough money? Because I know we took a big chunk a few months ago.
Mr. Fuller and Mr. Guerra, was
I
that?
believe we took out 5,803,000 back May 17th. We approved a budget change or transfer to reallocate these monies.
$5 million?
Mm-hmm. 833,000. It was on the May 17th. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm sorry. It was 5,011. I'm sorry, yes.
$500,000. Yeah, we redirected or redesignated some construction projects, but it wasn't for this. Right now, we have set aside through board action about $800,000 for this program, and we're going to use approximately $450,000.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we have, enough money.
Yes.
We won't have to make any other budget changes.
By designating it through board action, we keep it there until we redesignate.
All right.
I move to approve.
Second. Moved by Dr. Saavedra, second by Ms. Peña. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 7-0. We now go to item number 20, discuss some possible action towards RFP number 11-141, depository bank contracts for a 2-year term from July 1st through June 30th, 2013. On this one, Ms. Longoria, you had a question?
Get to the page. You can go ahead, Ms. Mayor.
My question still stands, and this is for our attorney. Because you're familiar with the Texas Code Section 45.206, where we have to make sure that what we do is for the betterment of our district. And again, I'm going because this is not my money. This is the community's money. These are people who have paid dollar after dollar after dollar of taxes. So that code holds us to the best value to the district. Okay, so
Okay.
with your money. Now, again, I remember the presentation, someone, and I learned this very clearly during the presentation that they made about the LIBOR rate, the T-bill rate, and some honor the LIBOR rate, which is 0.46, and some honor the T-bill rate, which is 0.05, and that's a lot of money when you're talking millions. If we were to lose money, let's say because we went with whoever, and they don't have that type of rate, and they won't give us that kind of rate, and we lose like thousands of dollars. Can anyone out there come after us and say that we did not do our fiduciary duty in complying with the Texas Education Code Section 45.206, that we went with the best value for the district? And to me, making more interest and keeping money flowing in to keep our payroll and everything is due diligence. So I'm sincerely asking you this question. And if we lose the money and we cry over it, pues ni modo. But can someone come back at us? Because we know it's going to happen before it happens, and we still approve it. Are we in any type of vicarious liability? Can we be charged with any type of vicarious liability?
You can always be challenged, although it's
No, not challenge, charge. Like something can really. I mean, we're talking money, and people can find all kinds of little clauses in the laws that can apply as a violation. Are we okay with that? I'm asking you with all sincerity in my heart.
legally, there is an answer to what you're asking, and it goes to the fact that in Chapter 45, there are several factors that you have to consider. It's not just one. The statute does not read who gives you the best rate on your return. It involves a minimum of 4 factors. You can add others. It's really up to the board to decide. Last time the administration came forward with a proposal where they had rated Compass higher. The board voted to negotiate with Wells Fargo, so it implicitly was finding Wells Fargo to be the highest rated proposal.
By the board,
which is what the language,
not the
yes,
administration.
Yeah, true.
Because and I find it hard because I didn't know how, I couldn't rate them because I didn't have enough information until that day.
Right.
So you're saying that the board ended up rating them, right? Is that what you're saying?
It effectively, it found that Wells Fargo was the highest rated. Now, how do you do that? Interest rates are probably more an objective calculation, but there are other factors. You know, there was the issue about the checks returned for insufficient funds. You know, and I'm not advocating either company here, but what I'm just trying to do is to explain the board action. And if
Yeah, the timing, that was uncanny for that to happen.
and the board might find that they didn't meet one of the other factors, which
Okay.
is the ability to perform services based on that. And so the action you did have by the board was to negotiate with Wells Fargo. So that's
With that said, I go back to square one. With that said, if we lose money,
I call a
because,
question.
can we be held responsible? Because any way you put it, any way you cut a pie, it's still a pie. If we lose money in the process, I'm sincerely asking, can they come after
you're saying
us?
by losing money
That
is
you
selecting
interest rate
a
or
bank
like
that
no,
has that has lower interest rates.
Right, and
no, in and of itself, that's not a
so we
basis
can
for
choose.
liability.
Okay, but we can choose. Say, you know what? It doesn't matter. We make 50,000 this year, and whether we made 100, we're gonna go this way, and we're okay. Nobody can come after us under Section 45.
In and of itself, that's not sufficient because there's more than one factor.
I can hold you to that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Madam President, just in closing, you know, and I'm going to reiterate what I've said in the past, and correct me if I misinterpreted. Both of these companies, both of these banks are fully qualified. Both can do a good job. Essentially, either one or can definitely handle the district's funding. As far as losing money, I still don't see where the risk is. You know, there's a lot of factors that are being considered, not just making money or losing money. There's a lot of factors. So I find that, you know, and ma'am, I apologize for the arm comment. You know, I didn't mean it sarcastically, but
That's just you. It's okay.
I feel I feel that we're trying to false alarm people by
No, I
saying,
just
are we going to
wanna be,
lose money?
no.
How much are we going to lose? We don't know that we're going to lose. We don't have evidence that tells us we're going to lose.
Okay.
There are a lot of factors to be considered other than making money or how much are we going to lose. So with that said, either one of these two banks could do a good job as our depository, correct?
And Ms. Garcia and Dr. Montoya, and that's my only thing, that if you can look that and maybe send it to us when everything's done and all the cookies are aligned. I use cookies instead of other items, and everything's signed. Can you just get us a comparison from the money? Because we have CDs. I'm talking CDs because the district has, $500 million, a big budget. Can you just tell us what's going to be the changes in the CDs? Is it going to be the same rate? Are we going to lose it? That's what I'm interested in. So at the end, until everything's done, we'll know. But I want us to get that.
After it's been approved, whatever
In other words,
company you decide.
in other
is
words,
what you're
it'll be.
asking.
Yeah, we lose too late, but I just want to know, was there something there? That's all I want to know. I want to make sure that it was a competitive and it was the best value for the district. I sincerely want to know that.
And
It's not my money.
For clarification, the is purchasing administrators up in the. Could you step up
Ms.
to the
Peña?
podium, Ms. Peña, please?
Ms. Peña, to the microphone, thank you.
If I'm not mistaken, the recommendation or the selection of the banking institute was Wells Fargo, correct?
The recommendation.
The
RFP?
to do the negotiation was with Wells Fargo.
From board direction
Board
was
directions.
to negotiate with
Administration
Wells
to
Fargo.
negotiate.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And if I may,
And there was some negotiation that was going on, correct?
There was a negotiations meeting, yes, ma'am.
But still, they were very persistent on wanting to go against the board's selection.
I'm not quite understanding the question.
Were they persisting in wanting to go back to BVBA when we had already given a direction to administration to continue to negotiate?
I think administration was strong enough to go ahead and negotiate with Wells Fargo, yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay, so the recommendation would be to approve. The RFP number would be,
I got one more
Wells Fargo,
question before
correct?
we start.
I haven't asked my question
Yeah,
yet.
we haven't finished. You first. Okay, well, I'll ask first.
No, I want to go. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Ms.
Yeah.
Longoria.
Okay, yeah, I don't know who we are awarding this RFP, because there's no name of a bank. So before I vote on it, I would like to know who we are awarding this RFP to.
Mr. Fuller, you wanna? I think we know who it is, but I'd rather hear it officially from you.
Yeah.
Mr. Michel, do I give him my recommendation as I sit in the seat?
Yes, let me add first that I believe it's written this way because the direction was to negotiate with Wells Fargo. This gives the board the option to do, to go in the manner they want, which is either you pick one or the other, or ask the administration to go back and do some further determination.
So now that you touch that point, so all along, the negotiation wasn't just with Wells Fargo, it was also with BBVA?
No, BBVA stands with its proposal as it came in.
And they had already exhausted their proposal level. It is my understanding, Ms. Peña, that when administration makes recommendation, it's because they've already exhausted all their means and ways of negotiation?
When the recommendation came to the board to award Compass, at that point in time, it is assumed that all negotiations have been exhausted, and/or, again, this is checking with Ms. Rita Chase up at TA, and/or administration or the district is happy with what was submitted in the proposal, and there is no further negotiations necessary at that point.
Okay.
To answer your question,
So-
my recommendation is Compass Bank because it's in the best interest of the district.
I
Thank
thought we
you.
had already voted that
Yeah,
down.
Yeah, but they insist.
No, no, I'm next. I'm next.
Go ahead.
Hijo de su-
Wait, Ms. Aguilar, let her go next.
Because I had asked a question.
I'm gonna ask a real, because I can see back and forth. Administration's recommendation, Ms. Rosie Peña, what was the recommendation that administration brought to the table
Which time, ma'am?
the first time?
The first time, there was two, actually, I think it was two. First, there was the extension to Compass Bank.
Okay.
That
the
was
second time?
rejected. And then they came in with awarding Compass on the RFP.
So the recommendation is not from administration to go with Wells Fargo. It was the board, well, the ones that voted for it, because I didn't. So the recommendation did not come from administration.
And I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can direct it to Mr. Michelle. And the only reason I'm doing this is because in further discussions with Rita Chase, she has recommended that we go ahead and let legal kind of do the officiating here. Mr. Michelle, in 45207, I believe it says that it is really to the board's determination. If, based on those 4 points, based on the 4 points that Mr. Michelle was alluding to,
Yes.
if board feels that 1, 2, 3, a combination of any of those 4 was not to the satisfaction of the school board, then yes, you have the authority, the right to say, reject any and all proposals and follow through in another directive.
And that applies to every single thing that is brought to us every board
Always,
meeting.
ma'am.
From the time we start to we
Always.
end.
Always.
Again, the question stands. Recommendation was not from administration. It was a board decision. Am I correct?
It was your decision as a
Not your
board.
recommendation.
Right. It was your decision as a board to reject Compass.
Final question, oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Aguilar, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to look into this administration recommendation of a bank, and then the board gives different direction to look at another bank. And then administration makes a statement, they say, well, we had exhausted, now we went beyond. My questions to you, administration, and I don't know who's gonna answer it. How come you did not do this at the very beginning when you were negotiating the contract the first time around? How come you didn't go to an extreme to get the same results as now you're recommending?
Do I have a motion?
I had a comment also.
Go ahead.
In going back to Ms. Peña's comments on compliance, earlier we were in debate as to the compliance on finances based on annual audits, and the importance of compliance with TEA audits, TEA report, directive. In the same manner, you have the question of Texas Education Code on best value and whether or not we should be in compliance with that aspect or that aspect of the 4 factors, of which, based on previous presentation, that it is a significant factor to have best value as a consideration. We want to save money for the district. We have a fiduciary responsibility, and to take the risk of what has been presented in the past, that we would not have the best rate of interest, less income for the district. That was the basis for the recommendation, but just wanted to clarify on compliance that we should be consistent on applying the definition of compliance.
Thank you, Madam President. Dr. Montoya, if I may address Mrs. Peña, Mrs. Peña.
Thank you for the clarity.
Thank you, sir.
I have
There's 3 in the room.
a twofold question.
Yes, sir.
During the negotiations that were done after the last board meeting, whenever we voted down
Yes,
that
sir.
item, did the bank provide any added value to the district? That's one question. My second question, or second half to that question, in your opinion, do we now have the best value to the district?
I'm going to refer to legal.
I don't think legal went to the proposals, did they?
No, just to answer the questions, Ms. Peña, if the administration did negotiate, fine. If they did not really negotiate, be upfront with us. Because if
Yes.
they really didn't stand up for what's the best interest of the district on the negotiation, I mean, obviously, they must have not answered the right answers or not the right questions.
And I'm referring to the bank, Wells Fargo. You know, when you were
Yes.
negotiating a better value,
Okay.
did they come up with some added incentives for us?
And Mr. Michelle was on the conference call with us, and if I remember correctly, and if my mind still helps me, there was some added value, Mr. Lawrence, that he was offering another interest rate that was on the business side that is not offered to everyone. However, Mr. Michelle advised that really interest rate we could not look at in reviewing or as part of the negotiations. But he did bring that up, that there was another interest rate that he could use with us as a district that is not offered to everybody in his institution. Once again, Mr. Michelle said that was part of, we couldn't look at that when negotiating, but that was that added value.
Do we have the best value to the district if we approve this?
In my personal opinion, in the 24 some odd years that I've been here, it's really a matter of how we work with the depository. Yes, there's going to be some fluctuation in the changes, and it's a lot of work for us on our side. But it's really up to us as administrators to make it work. You know, it entails the movements of money. It entails the investment policies as we have them. Are we doing the right investments and all that stuff? So I believe another thing that Mr. Lawrence offered the last time, and he presented this to the board as a presentation, they offered to be able to put in the savings account some of that monies that needed to be to offset the account analysis. So that's an avenue that we can look at. Compass Bank, by the same token, let us know that money markets are available out there that we haven't utilized. So it's really how we work within the administration to be able to make it work.
Go ahead, Mr. Aguilar.
Of course, you know, I think you just went chasing rabbits, but that's Mr. Escobedo's question, and if you're satisfied with that, it's okay. But I don't think you answered the question. Now, the board is asking a very sincere question. Which one of the two? Hold on, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
And then when you said you negotiated with Wells Fargo and they gave you all this other benefits, I guess you might call them. I'm not a financial expert. When we negotiate, we go back to Compass and look, you better come up with a better deal because I'm getting another bill with a better deal with the other campus bank. Did you do that? Or whoever was negotiating?
And Mr. Aguilar, let me go ahead and clarify. Procurement neither ranks nor negotiates. We were there to observe, much like your legal. You have a committee of experts within the district that are formed to use, that we use to rank the best. And I know, Dr. Escobedo, you were asking me, well, is it the best value to the district? I'm not the expert. I have just given you an opinion of how I see it being an employee for 24 years. However, I'm not the expert. Mr. Fuller, Mr. Reese, everybody else that has the vested interest are the experts. That's why they sat on the committees. That's why they ranked the way they ranked. That's why they recommended the way they recommended.
Ms. Peña, how many were?
Not through, ma'am.
Go ahead.
So you're not being the expert. It's just providing information. So you're saying that Mr. Fuller is the expert on this, correct?
Mr. Fuller and Mr. Reese. Yes,
and
sir.
I just heard Mr. Fuller, when somebody asked him, who do you recommend? He went up and say, I would still go with Compass. Isn't that correct, Mr. Tony Fuller?
Yes, sir, because of my backup documentation that's on.
Ms. Peña, have you ever worked in investments?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you're familiar with how it works?
Yes.
Okay, very simple. How many people did the ranking for this BBVA Compass?
I believe that our notes hold 2 people.
So 2 people ranked?
At the very beginning.
Okay.
At the end? I have one more question,
There's 2
please.
people.
You know what?
I have one more
we
que-
had 3 people involved.
3 people.
We brought in for 4th.
One more question, please. Mr. Dr. Montoya and Ms. Presas, is it gonna cost anything to us to move? We're gonna
Ma'am,
pay?
I wouldn't be able to tell you. Mr. Fuller would be the one.
May I ask, Mr. Fuller, is it gonna cost anything? Because like the economy, the way it is right now, we shouldn't spend anything we don't have to. I want money for the chess team, because there's none, and I beg the city. And if you know me as a community member, I knock on your door and you tell me come back, and I keep coming back. And I get there like 10
Mr.
times
Fuller,
and you finally
what's
give
the
it
answer
to me.
to the question?
My question is, are we going to lose? Is it going to cost us anything?
Yes, there are costs to move.
So can we know the ballpark figure, what it's going to cost? Do we have any idea?
It's labor costs, it's programming costs,
Uh-huh.
because remember, everything is all automated, electronic. We have to get a hold of our software company. They need to make the adjustment. We need to order supplies. We need to set up account numbers, so it's labor cost also with the new bank.
And will our software company charge us something for doing this?
Ma'am, I don't know that question.
So we don't know that?
I'm not gonna
So
say
it's going to
they will.
cost us something to move.
But it's mainly it's gonna be labor costs.
Can we get a copy of what it's going to cost all of us? Just when it's all said and done, I'd like to have it in black and white.
I'm having my administrators put dollars and cents to the.
I so appreciate that. Thank you for your time.
With no further questions, do I have a motion to, I guess, with the bank?
Well, it's not on here.
Well, because they did it,
The
to me,
bank is
it's-
Wells Fargo.
the bank would be Wells
Yeah,
Fargo
because
because
that's
they
what
were
we
the
were
ones
last
that we
time.
were
Yeah,
negotiating
the
with.
assumption has to be Wells Fargo
So,
because you
discuss and
approved it
possible
May
action.
17th.
Assumption does
Discuss-
one thing.
Discussion and possible action to award RFP number 11-141 depository bank contract for 2-year term from July 1st, 2011 to June 30th, 2013 to Wells Fargo's bank. Do I have a motion? Motion by Ms. Longoria. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Saavedra. All those in favor? Aye. All those in favor for Wells Fargo?
Aye.
Aye. Motion 4-3.
Can you ask against?
Against?
Yes.
Please.
Against Mr. Aguilar, and against Ms. Peña. Motion carries 4-3. Bid awarded to Wells Fargo RFQ number 11-102. We now go to 21. Recommend awarding RFQ number 11-102 for consultant services BISD self-funded group health insurance program to Griff, Sibbles, and Williams of Addison, Texas, and allow administration to negotiate a fee for services. On that one, we had a question. Ms. Longoria?
Yes, ma'am. My same question, did the Insurance Ad Hoc Committee have any input in this, selecting this consultant?
Ms. Longoria, to answer your question, no, but it's not because they weren't given the opportunity. Through a consensus of the last ad hoc committee, they did not want to do this function. I believe Dr. Jimenez even stated that in one of his presentations to the board.
That was my only question.
I move to approve.
Motion by Dr. Escobedo. Do I have a second? For the consultant services, recommend awarding RFQ. Second by Mr. Colunga. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
All opposed?
All opposed?
So it's 4-3, okay.
The reason I'm opposing, because the guy that's there is paid till August, so I don't want to spend another penny till the other one expires. He's paid till August. That's my reasoning, that we don't come and bring this charge till August. If we can consider that in your motion, because he's paid till August.
It's a yay or nay motion, and I voted yay, ma'am.
It's not my money. I want to take care of it.
It's everybody's money.
Motion carries 4-3. We now go to item number,
So item number, go home.
we need to, 29. We now go to announcements. Next scheduled board meeting of the Board of Trustees is Tuesday, June 21st at the Administration Building at 5:30. Do we have any announcements, Mr.
No
Doctor?
announcements. Again, Lopez High School graduation tonight at Sam's, the last high school, and that's it.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
By Dr. Escobedo, second by Dr. Saavedra. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Good afternoon, Brownsville.
An announcement past the